bastard child. Oh no, they were wrong. You see, they were able to see with only one eye, the other one was blind. When you make judgment with only one eye, the external eye, then you do not always get to the reality of things. But when you see with the second eye, namely the internal eye, the eye of the heart, then you will not be so easily deceived. If Mary had committed adultery or fornication, and she lives in a very religious society, she knows the penalty for committing such a sin. If she became pregnant and she was successful in concealing her pregnancy from the people, no one knew. And if she then left and went out into the wilderness, and she had her baby all by herself, all alone, what would she do with that baby if it was a child of sin? I know what she would not do. She wouldn't come back to her people with the baby in her arms. And when she comes back to the people with the baby in her arms, she wouldn't come back in the daytime. She'd come in the night time. She wouldn't use the main road. She might use a back street. But she didn't do that. Here was a Mary who returned with the baby, holding the baby in front of her, not hiding the baby. And when the people accosted her, Mary, whose baby is that? Mary, how could you do such a thing? Your father, your mother were not evil people. She didn't speak. No. She pointed to the baby. The Mary babies don't talk. But then the baby talked. And the baby says, I am the messenger of Allah. I am the messenger of Allah. And so, here was evidence that there was more to this than meets the eye. What any girl would have done if she had committed sin was to go and give away the baby or abandon the baby with someplace. But Mary didn't do that. She came back with the baby. And they accused her. They were deceived. No, she was a virgin. And she gave birth to the baby miraculously because Allah wanted to test them. They failed the test. So they said, he can't be the Messiah because he's a bastard. And then later in life, when they decided that he must die, and they forced the Roman government to crucify him, and then with their own eyes they saw him die on the cross, with their own eyes. Oh no, he couldn't be the Messiah. Why? He's dead. He never liberated the Holy Land and never restored the state of Israel in the Holy Land as the ruling state in the world. He never ruled the world from Jerusalem. So he could not have been the Messiah. So they're waiting for the Messiah to come. This is what you need to understand. If you wish to understand the strange world in which we live today, not just Gog and Magog. When they rejected him, and they said, no, he couldn't be the Messiah, there he is, he's dead. They're now waiting for the Messiah to come. They know that Allah is not like Washington. When Allah gives His word, He keeps His word. And so they're waiting for the Messiah to come. What they did not know, and no one knew, for 600 years later, was that no, they did not kill him. No, they did not crucify him. The Quran was sent down to explain that Allah made it appear to them that that was what happened. And then Allah raised him. So he didn't die. One day he's coming back. And when he comes back, he's going to rule the world from Jerusalem with a rule which will be eternal. This is the prophecy of Prophet Muhammad. Allah's blessings be upon him. But they didn't know that. They say he's dead. So they're waiting for the Messiah to come. You can't live in New York and not do that. I lived in New York for more than 12 years. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ now explained that Allah was going to release into the world a being created by Allah Himself, and who would be commissioned to impersonate the Messiah. And so he's known as Dajjal, the false Messiah, or the Antichrist. He's not a human being, no. But he will appear as a human being at the end of his mission. What is his mission? What is it to impersonate the Messiah? Well, since the Messiah must rule the world from Jerusalem, from the Holy Israel, with a rule which would be eternal, it follows that Dajjal, the false Messiah, in order for him to successfully impersonate the true Messiah, must do the same. He must do the same. He must liberate the Holy Land, first of all, from non-Jewish rule. He's done that already. He must bring the Jews back to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own. That will convince them. He's done that already. He has to restore a state of Israel in the Holy Land and get the Jews to believe that this is the Holy Israel of David and of Solomon, alayhim salam. It will not be, it will be an impostor. He's done that already. Finally, he has to cause that state of Israel to become the ruling state in the world. And that's just around the corner. I assume that Israel's big war of territorial expansion, which will allow Israel to seize all the oil of the Arab Gulf, and which will allow Israel to seize the Suez Canal, and then hold mankind to ransom for oil, and force mankind to bow to Israel for oil, which is why you don't want mankind to develop solar energy. I assume that that big war will take place before Mr. Bush leaves office in his second term. This is my opinion. When Israel wages that big war, then Israel will become the ruling state in the world. Dajjal has only one more thing to do after that. He's got to destroy the Masjid al-Aqsa, and rebuild the temple. He called it the Temple of Solomon. And then he'll proclaim himself and say, I am the Messiah. When he does that and all the Jews accept him that he is the Messiah, then he can rub his hands like this and say, mission accomplished. Well, it appears as though Dajjal's mission is very close to the end now. After all, the Holy Land has been liberated. The Jews have returned to reclaim it as their own. A state of Israel has been restored in the Holy Land. That Israel has grown from a baby to become a superpower in the world today, second only to the United States. Israel can destroy the whole of Europe with her nuclear weapons and her missiles. Israel has become a powerful state because of the support of the United States and of Britain. And so Dajjal is close to the completion of his mission. The Messenger of Allah, Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, informed us of the release of Dajjal into the world during his lifetime. During his lifetime. There was an event where he suspected a Jewish boy to have been Dajjal. The boy's name was Ibn Sayyad. And that event in which he met the boy was used to convey to us the information that Dajjal, the real Dajjal, has been released into the world. He went on to say that when Dajjal is released into the world, he would live on earth for 40 days. One day like a year, one day like a month, one day like a week, and the rest of his days like your days. I got an artist in Malaysia to design this cover of the book. And you see that there are 3 circles. Over here, a day like a year. Over here, a day like a month. And over here, a day like a week. The analysis conducted in this book is such that it argues that when Dajjal was in a day which is like a year, Britain was his headquarters. And when Dajjal moved to a day which is like a month, the United States of America became his headquarters. And finally, when Dajjal is going to be in a day which is like a week, he comes back home to the Holy Land. He comes back home to the Holy Land. Dajjal has already completed his first phase, a day like a year, when Britain was the ruling state in the world and the sterling pound was the international currency. And then Dajjal moved to a day which is like a month, and the United States replaced Britain as the ruling state in the world. And the US dollar became the international currency. And now the United States is about to relinquish power, and Israel is about to replace the United States as the ruling state in the world. And what will be the new money? That was sterling pound. This was US dollar. What will this be? Answer: the US dollar is going to be attacked and it will collapse and bring down all the paper money of the world with it. You won't see paper money after that. Well, then what's going to be money? What's the new money that Israel will use to enslave mankind? The way the United States used the US dollar. Answer: Israel is going to use invisible money, you can't see it. Intangible money, you can't touch it. It'll be electronic money. And the strange thing, the dangerous thing about electronic money is it is controlled by the banking system around the world, and the Jews control the banking system. That's not an uncharitable statement. That's not an invalid statement. That's the truth, that the Jews control the banking system around the world. And if we cannot speak the truth, what else is there to talk about? The new money is going to be invisible money. You can't see it. It's going to be intangible money. You can't touch it. It's no longer possible for you to conceal how much money you have. Your enemy will know exactly how much money you have, even if you have it hidden underneath a pillow. Your enemy will not only know how much money you have, Your enemy will know how you are spending your money. And the minute the enemy gets the evidence that this is a man who is spending of his wealth in the way of Islam, they'll come after you. They'll come after you to brand you a terrorist and to rip you off of whatever wealth you have. And so Dajjal, in a day which is like a week, now moves from the United States to Israel, and Israel becomes his headquarters. We said that Israel is about to wage a big war. They prepared for this when the Israeli Mossad and the CIA attacked America on September 11 and put the blame on us Muslims. They know that's false. They know that they're speaking a monstrous lie. But yet they do it. The Prophet ﷺ warned us that amongst the times of the last day, he said, would be that people would speak great lies. So beware, he said. Israel wages a big war, takes control of the world. When Israel takes control of the world, globalization brings the whole world together, and Israel is able to control mankind. And then Dajjal is going to be born into the world as a human being, and eventually become the ruler of the world from Jerusalem, the way Mr. Bush is ruling the world from Washington today, and Mr. Churchill used to rule the world from London yesterday. When Israel becomes the ruling state in the world, we said, at that time, Dajjal would have finished his mission, and he would now declare, I am the Messiah. What happens after that? We are now understanding the world today. We have understood, we have recognized the dominant actors in the world today, Gog and Magog and Dajjal. But we want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. What's the end going to be like? The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that even if it was the last day, Allah would lengthen that day, so that a man from my family, whose name is my name, whose grandfather's name is whose father's name is my father's name, namely his name will be Abdullah, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, that man will arise and proclaim himself to be Imam al-Mahdi. That's what the Prophet said. When Dajjal announces that he is the Messiah and deceives many amongst mankind, that will be the time that the Imam will also be born, and the Imam will grow up to be a man, and he will be a well-known Muslim, because the Prophet said, a Muslim ruler will die, and then there would be arguments and disagreements concerning succession. And at that time a man will come out of Medina and hurry to Mecca. When he reaches to Mecca, the people will come out to him and force him to accept the bay'ah. The bay'ah is a political institution which is used to legitimize power and rule over Muslims. When the people take the bay'ah, he will then proclaim and say, I am the Mahdi. I am the Mahdi. When he makes that proclamation, said the Prophet ﷺ, an army will come to attack him. The army will come from the north, from Syria. The earth will open and swallow that army when the army is between Mecca and Medina, between Medina and Mecca. And when that army swallows, that will be sign number 8 of the 3 major earthquakes. In fact, I believe that the recent tsunami in Southeast Asia is the first of the 3 earthquakes. The second one should happen in the west. And then the third one will happen in Arabia. After that, Dajjal will now attack the Imam. He comes, said the Prophet ﷺ, from the east. When the confrontation between Dajjal and the Imam takes place, it will be in Damascus. Then, said the Prophet ﷺ, Nabi Isa ﷺ will come down from the sky with his hands resting on the wings of two angels. I believe that that event is probably about 50 years away from now. Oh yes. Because I believe that Israel is going to wage a big war while Bush is still president. And so a day which is like a week is about to commence. It is when a day which is like a week has ended. Only at that time will Dajjal appear in person as a human being, in a day which is like our day, and at that time will the true Messiah come down. When he comes down, he'll kill that false Messiah. And after that false Messiah is killed, then Allah will destroy Gog and Magog. And now it's a level battlefield, because the cruise missiles ain't going to work anymore. All the electronic gadgetry will not work anymore once Dajjal is destroyed. And so it's back to conventional warfare. Oh yes, with horses. The Prophet said, when that happens, he said, when you see the black flags coming from the direction of Khorasan, go and join that army. Because no one will be able to stop that army until it reaches Jerusalem. And so a Muslim army is destined to liberate the Holy Land. Liberate it of that beast, the state of Israel. When the Holy Land has been liberated, then the Islamic State of Israel will now be established. And the leader would be the true Messiah, Jesus, the Son of Mary. This has been an attempt to use the Quran to explain the world today and to help to anticipate the world tomorrow. At the heart of that explanation is that there are transcendental forces at work in the world today that scientific knowledge has no knowledge about. Dajjal and Gog and Magog. What remains for us to do is to turn to the Quran seriously and turn to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and study what they have to say about the world in which we live today. The Prophet said, didn't he, that one of the strategies that Dajjal will employ to seek to control the whole world would be riba. Riba is not only borrowing and lending money on interest. Riba is also deception, through which people are ripped off, and your paper money takes the cake. The biggest deception of all is that paper money. The distinguished muftis of Islam still cannot recognize that paper money to be haram. I can only pray that one day they'll wake up. The paper money is going to go tomorrow when Israel attacks, and when Israel takes control of all the oil and things. At that time the US dollar will be attacked and will collapse. The US dollar is already in irreversible decline. And then the new money will come, which will be invisible money. And they'll use that invisible money to take control of the world. This is happening now. And yet no one is teaching the subject of riba. And no one understands the subject of riba. Even those who believe they understand it, they don't. And so, we ask of you, do please read this book, Jerusalem in the Quran. It is available, or it soon will be available, in Canada, And when you get the book, do please read it. You will find my email address. My name is Imran Hosein. My email address is ihossein, IHOSEIN at tsttt.net.tt. I hope we'll be able to put it on the screen for you, so you can read it on the screen. Do please, when you read the book, write to me, and I'll be very happy to share with you my thoughts on the subject and to answer any questions that you may have. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
Truly he is the one, he has no father or son. Truly he is the one, he has no father or son. Everything in creation was by him begun. Everything in creation was by him begun. With his infinite power, anything could be done. With his infinite power, anything could be done. Ask Allah for his pardon. Ask Allah for his pardon, and you'll enter the garden. Allahu, 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 Before him there were none, of partners he has none. Before him there were none.